Hi there, Steve Kaufman here to talk again about language learning from a different perspective. We all know that motivation is the key to language learning success. Beyond anything else, method, school, whatever, motivation is the driver of success in language learning. Now, in the English-speaking world, being monolingual is the norm, all right? But there are many societies where that's not the case. In certain countries, in Europe, for example, in Singapore, in Ethiopia, there are many places where being bi or multilingual is the norm. And I don't think people in those places are any different. So the difference is the motivation. Now you can say that the circumstances in those countries where many languages coexist, that's the reason, but that in fact is just a factor that contributes to motivation, all right? So, and in the world, so we have monolingual people, typically in the English-speaking world, in large countries, Japan, Russia, China, Brazil, where people are less motivated to learn. Amongst the people who speak more than one language, you have sort of people who speak two or three or four, and we call them the multilingual people, bilingual, multilingual. And then you have the so-called polyglots who are motivated to go and learn more. And also I think there's a distinction between those who learn languages for professional or practical reasons and those who learn languages as an adventure in order to explore different cultures, travel, meet people, get to know more of the people who are living at this time with us, and so forth and so on. So there's these different distinctions. However, it all begins at the beginning, and that's the gist of what I want to talk about. And that is this idea that in language learning, you may not think that you're motivated, but I encourage people who don't think they're motivated to learn languages to just do it. And I'm going to give some background to that. First of all, there is an expression that is attributed to Aristotle. Well begun is half done. So, in other words, just get started and you'll be well on your way. And it reminds me in my life how just by committing myself to doing something, this has brought all kinds of other unintended or unforeseeable advantages. And I was reminded of that because I received an email from a Swedish business associate, a person and his company. We did business for almost 20 years. He and his wife visited us here in Palm Springs. And he sent me a graph of the sudden spike in North American lumber prices in 1993, which is precisely when I contacted him in order to have wood lumber supplied from Sweden to Japan. Now, how was I able to contact this person? Well, back in 2 or 3 years earlier, in my young company, because I created my lumber company in 1987, and we had different projects, but one of our projects was to develop lumber supply from Canada to Europe. And so we hired a European lumber grading expert to help us develop product for Europe. And we were selling lumber graded to European standards in various markets in Europe. And of course, the grading expert we hired was from Sweden. So I developed these contacts in Sweden. Then, when lumber prices in North America spiked, it was no longer possible to export lumber from North America to Europe because their prices were lower and North American prices were higher, so that the producing mills in North America no longer wanted to make products for a lower priced market. But because I had initiated all of that activity, I realized that there now was a different opportunity. I could bring wood from Europe to Japan. And today my company is importing wood from Europe to North America. So just by having committed myself to developing wood for the European market, I developed contacts which ultimately helped me develop and maintain this other business. So you never know what's going to lead to what. The same has been true in my language learning activities. I got interested in French. I ended up going to France because I studied in France. Therefore, I was accepted into the Canadian Diplomatic Service. I could go on and on. The point is, if you do something, if you commit to doing something, like nothing, everything in this world is a matter of opportunities that are waiting to happen. And you are either going to get out there and do things that cause these opportunities to come your way, or you sit back and do nothing. So with languages, again, I follow on Twitter people like Holly Richards, who's now in Japan, and he sends these lovely pictures of the countryside in Shikoku, and he committed to learning Japanese, and now he's traveling in Japan and having a wonderful cultural, culinary, whatever, tourist experience. And so you never know. Right now, I'm learning Arabic. It's been 2.5 months or so. Not progressing too badly. I'm not unhappy with my progress. It's tough. But what is this going to lead to? What kinds of opportunities? What kinds of people am I going to meet? What kind of travel? What am I going to discover about, Arabic and that whole culture and civilization? And once I've learned the Arabic writing, that'll lead me on to Farsi and discovering more about, Middle East, Central Asia, and so forth and so on. So all I'm saying is, there's a phenomenal world out there that awaits people who take on, at first, one new language and possibly another new language. And whether you are learning for practical reasons or as an adventure, as an explorer, or both, you can expect more wonderful things to happen to you if you take that first step down this path. And I think in my own case, I started out as a bit of an explorer, exploring French. Then I had some professional reasons to learn Chinese and Japanese. And then I became a bit of an explorer, and then also doing it for practical reasons because it helped me in my business in Europe. So just do it. Well begun is half done. Get out there, get started, and you'll be, I think, amazed at all the good things that will come your way. So a bit of a strange rant, but those were the thoughts that were crossing my mind this morning. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.